Alright, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Transmission. This is Mr. BDA with you.
Alongside King Bucho.
That's right, the one, the only King Bucho, my co-host. And I want to talk about, or we want to talk about rather, something interesting that's going on in the welterweight division. I love the welterweight division, Bucho. I don't think it's any secret. I think the matchups in there are fantastic, the potential matchups. But I don't know, it seems to me like there's some guys that don't want to fight, man. I mean, I'm reading Steve Kim's column today on April the 11th. And I'm reading also over at Boxing Scene that Shawn Porter and his father, Kenny Porter, his father and coach, they're complaining about not getting enough fights. And it's interesting, Shawn Porter hasn't fought since December when he took on Adrian Granados, the always tough Adrian Granados. And he supposedly, I think that was for the WBC silver belt. People also know that I don't follow these belts. I don't know who has the WBA, IBF, whatever. But in this case, I had to pay attention because apparently he's a WBC silver titleist. And he's, since 2015, these are the guys he has beaten. He's beaten Adrian Broner. He lost to Keith Thurman. He beat Berto, stopped him, and then he beat the very tough Granados. Then all of a sudden, Danny Garcia comes along. He beats Brandon Rios in his last fight, and he's ahead in the WBC rankings now. So that's why I don't follow the WBC rankings, or any type of rankings, because they're all corrupt, they're all malleable.
Garbage, man.
Garbage. And then on top of that, it seems to me, I don't know, you tell me your opinion, but it seems to me that the only people that really want to fight in the welterweight division that belong to the PBC are Errol Spence and Shawn Porter. Garcia and Thurman, yeah, I know, look, people are saying Thurman is injured, but it just seems like enough now. Even back when he wasn't injured, he wasn't fighting that often.
Yeah, he was like that PBC fighter that's under the PBC protection program that they fight once a year. And yeah, I mean, Thurman, yeah, it's true. It's the same thing as always, huh? He's only fighting once a year. Now he's not even fighting.
Well, supposedly the rumor, and that is just a rumor, it's pure speculation. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. None of us really do. But supposedly Keith Thurman isn't happy with the terms of his contract with Al Heyman. And some people say that he's pretending to be injured so he can stall the deal. Which would make sense, because we've talked about this before on the podcast about how, like, you know, just hypothetical, what would have happened if Keith Thurman would have stayed with Golden Boy instead of moving with the PBC back in, what was it, 2015?
Yeah.
Because he was on a roll, man. I mean, he was getting hyped up and everything. Then all of a sudden he moves.
Well, he was also knocking out all his opponents. Now
right.
The knockout streak is basically over now. But yeah, I know what you're saying. He was like, it felt like he was gonna become a superstar. And you know, some people will arguing and say, well, he is a star. Yeah, he's a boxing name. But he's not a star in the sense that he's not a Canelo, he's not a Golovkin, he's not a even a Crawford. You know, I feel like Crawford has more weight than Keith Thurman at this point. I don't know if you feel the same way though. You know why? Also because maybe Thurman, because he hasn't been that active, so he loses that momentum that he gets after some wins, like after the Garcia fight. I think he lost a lot of momentum.
It's
after
a year.
That.
He's lost a year.
Exactly.
He's what? Early 30s now? He's early 30s, right? He's just
no. Oh, good question.
Well, let's check that out.
29.
That's what we got Google.
28, 29.
I would say 30, man. Let's see.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. And Spence Jr. also loses momentum after because he's with the PBC, so he has these long layoffs and.
Well, he's 29, Keith Thurman.
Okay, yeah. 29.
So, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world. 1 year layoff for a 29-year-old. But when it's happening, you know, too often he fights 2 times a year. Gennady Golovkin was fighting 3-4 times a year. Remember when he was when nobody wanted to fight him, he was fighting 3 times a year at least. Keith Thurman 2 times a year is like almost as if he can afford it. And I like that he stepped it up this past 2 years when he took on Porter and against Danny Garcia. But just he hasn't even been active enough. And again, Shawn Porter, I think, is right in complaining about, and his father as well, complaining about the fact that there's no fights getting made. You know, there's no fights getting made. Yeah. He's getting shafted by the WBC. They're paying sanctioning fees, and they're still getting shifted from the #1 position. So it's just, that's the name of being a professional boxer, I suppose. You gotta deal with that type of bullshit.
Yeah, that's true. And also, well, it's also the case when fighters don't want to fight you, or fighters are dealing with the politics of boxing, like Keith Thurman. I mean, you're saying that the reason why he's not fighting and claiming that he's injured is because there's some sort of negotiations that we don't know about. He's stalling it. So Yeah, that's boxing for you, man. What are we talking about this? We're talking about Shawn Porter, right? Like he not getting the fights he wants.
It seems to me that he's the only one willing to fight. I mean, he took on Kell Brook back in 2014. He took on Adrian Broner. He took on Keith Thurman. He wants Errol Spence, I guess, or he wants Keith Thurman again too. He wants to fight. Errol Spence goes to England.
Errol Spence also wants to fight. I mean, this guy.
That's what I said at the beginning. Yeah, that he.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. You mentioned those two guys in the.
And remember Garcia also, because we're talking about Keith Thurman maybe not wanting to fight and all that. Garcia is the one that his father or he admitted something like that they wanted easy paydays for the less amount of friction possible or resistance. Remember they said that.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, Garcia, one of the Garcia. I don't know if the father or the son had said, "Hey, listen, if we're gonna get paid for easy fights, we're all fine."
Oh yeah, it was Angel Garcia. No, what he said that. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, something along those lines.
We could be wrong since we don't even know. We don't even have an exact quote, and we don't even know who said.
There was a video, man. It was Nas from the Boxing Voice who was interviewing him.
But see, that's what I'm saying with Danny Garcia. I mean, think about it. Danny Garcia. He fights, finally steps up after, because the last good opponent he had fought was Lamont Peterson back in 2015. All of a sudden, finally, he steps it up against Thurman 2 years later. And then he waits almost a year to get another fight. And who is it against? Brandon Rios. I mean, come on. If that's not a clear indication that Danny Garcia doesn't want to push himself, I don't know what is. So that's the state of the welterweight division. Right now, it's being carried by Errol Spence and Shawn Porter. Everybody else, and then of course, Terence Crawford is about to fight the welterweight division, but he's with Top Rank, so we don't know if any of those fights can be made. But anyway, that's our take on the welterweight division. That's what's going on. We think Shawn Porter and Errol Spence are the only ones that want to fight, and if they're the only ones that want to fight, put them in there together against each other. Forget Errol. Everybody's talking about Errol Spence versus Thurman. Hey, we got a great fight between Porter and Spence. Why not make that fight? I actually think it would be more entertaining.
Yeah, I know that's not what Errol Spence wants at this point. He wants to fight Keith Thurman because he's a champion. But he's a unified champion. But hey, if you can't get that fight, then fuck it, man. Just fight the next best thing, I guess.
Exactly. I hope what doesn't happen with Errol Spence is that he starts fighting bums just in order to wait to get that Thurman fight. I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. Anyway, that was another BDA Boxing Transmission. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell us what we got right, tell us what we got wrong. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button, right? The notification bell button. Subscribe to BDA Live. And we'll see you in the next one, folks. Take care.